So next one is explain different parts of statute. So what is a statute?
Law, rule,
Statute is a law.
act.
Yes, act. Correct. So let's.
Usually they don't use that word very frequently, ma'am.
Hmm.
So just that law, act, rule, only such things are used, but then such statute is very rare.
Yes, correct. So let's open one or two statutes as well so that we get an idea. Okay, so they are asking in this question is explain different parts of a statute. When you see a legislation, an act, a statute, whatever, what are the different parts in it? It's not that like a newspaper, everything is like written in one, like in newspapers also it's organized. It's not like everything would be given in one same font, same everything, right? It's not like that. In a statute, it would be very much well organized. Okay, so in interpretation of statute plays a vital role in delivery of justice. Now, what is interpretation of statute?
Meaning of the act or meaning of the law.
Yes, understanding
What
of a certain law or a provision. Correct. So proper understanding of what is written in this rule book or an act is very much important. Otherwise, it would be meaningless if we don't even understand what is written there, or we understand it in a wrong way, it becomes meaningless. So interpretation of statute plays a vital role in delivery of justice. There are various internal and external aids which are used by judges in the process of interpretation. Now, when you go on in understanding a certain provision, a certain sentence written in an act, you take help of some aids. Okay, you take help of some internal as well as external aids. Okay, so aids are nothing but some help that you are taking. Like we say, what aid? Any example of aid? We say, right?
First aid.
Yeah, for first aid, yes, good example, right? First aid. Same ways you take help of certain things in understanding a provision of law also. These may be internal as well as external. Internal as in something which is given in this act or the statute itself, from there only you are taking help. External means not this legislation, maybe some other legislation, some court case here, there you are taking help. Okay, outside the legislation. So you might be taking help of internal or external aids in understanding a certain provision. Aids of interpretation are devices that help or assist in the process. It is very much needed because that's how we can derive the proper meaning of a certain provision. Internal aids mean those materials which are available in the statute itself. When you open a statute, it is also having lot of different things which help you in understanding it in a better way. Okay, so it might be that what you are taking help of. These internal aids include long title, preamble, headings, marginal notes, illustrations, punctuation, proviso, schedule, transitory provision, etc. These internal aids are nothing but different parts of one single statute. Okay, so what are these different things? We will see it. First of all, it says long title and short title. Now, what is title of a legislation?
Title of legislation.
Title of a legislation.
The heading given might be the heading given, ma'am.
Okay. So when we talk about title, right? See, most of the legislations in the first section, it starts with title. Title as in name, right? What is title of that movie? As in name of that movie. Same way as title of a statute, name of the statute. Okay. So most of the legislations, first section would be title of the statute, where they will mention this act may be called as the Indian Contract Act 1872. Same ways, if you open IPC, this act may be called as Indian Penal Code. Okay, like that, most of the legislations, right? It starts with title of the legislation. Now it says long title and short title. Okay, this entire name also might be mentioned sometimes if it is too big, there may be for the purpose of referring and identification of the act, some short name also might be given. Okay, so title is very much important. We need the title of the legislation with which most of the legislation start. That is nothing but an internal aid. Second is preamble. What is preamble? Any idea?
Preamble.
I think you have not got it because this is the only law subject, right? When you study constitution, that time you will get what is preamble. Okay, so preamble is again nothing but like an introductory statement. Okay, when you buy a book, take for example, 2 states book back cover. See, when you buy a book, okay, when the book is a little costly, what happens is usually it would be in like a seal. It would come in like a sealed thing, right? You cannot open it or read any pages or anything. That is why mostly you would see when you are buying some fiction and stuff, backside of the book, they would mention what this book is all about, right? They would mention that, okay, fine, there are these 2 people, Krish and Ananya, who are from different states, deeply in love with one another. They got married. Of course, their parents did not agree to convert their love story into a love marriage. The couple had a long battle ahead of them, as it is, but I can't see only, for it is easy to,
For it is
yeah,
fight and rebel, but much harder to convince.
Yeah, will
they make it?
So that means what?
So it's a storyline.
Yeah, right. So you get an idea that, okay, what is this book all about? This book is about how they fought the battle, right? How they overcome this everything and how they ended up marrying each other, right? So
like a trailer.
Yeah, correct. So by reading this certain thing, you get a fair idea on what this book is all about or why this book. Okay, same ways in a statute also, they want to tell you why this book, like why this statute. Okay, so you get a preamble. Preamble might be just like this book. They would tell you like what is it all about, or it might tell you what is the purpose of this book. Okay, so like that in statute we have preamble. We say it is like the introductory statement of a legislation. So what it says, whereas, so why this law? This law is there in order to make certain provisions relating to contract. Okay, so certain parts of law relating to contract, hereby this certain thing is enacted. For IPC also, you would also see same kind of a provision. For Constitution of India, the preamble is a little bit different. It is like a little bit elaborate way. I'll just show you Constitution of India. Barrett also, where from the preamble itself you have like an entire topic. It is that important for preamble. For Constitution, preamble is like that important. Okay, so preamble is nothing but like an introductory statement. It gives us an idea on why this legislation, or what is the purpose of this legislation, or what is this legislation all about. Okay, so first we have title of the legislation. Like I said, for most of the legislations, section 1 will be having the title, but some legislations might not be having. Like if you take the example of Constitution of India, Article 1 is not mentioning about name of the legislation. Okay, so see, this is the preamble. Preamble is like pretty big for Constitution of India. Like that we have preamble. So preamble is what? The main aim and objective of the act is found in the preamble of the statute. All the acts start with a preamble. Most of the acts, right? Almost all the acts start with a preamble stating the reason behind this enactment, why this certain legislation, what is the objective of it. Then we have heading and title of a chapter. Now, entire legislation, fine, if this is Indian Contract Act, it talks about contract, but within contract also we have so many different things. Okay, that is why you would see most of the times legislations will be organized, things would be organized in form of, see, sometimes it might be different parts. It says part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. It may be divided in different parts. It may be divided in different chapters. Okay, whatever it is makes the same sense. Heading and title of a chapter, as in this is a chapter, right? Chapter 1, heading and title of the chapter. When you read this chapter, you get an idea that, okay, fine, this certain chapter talks about communication of offer, acceptance and revocation of proposal. Okay, you get a fair idea. So this is also another thing which gives you an idea in understanding the legislation. Headings give the key to interpretation of different clauses. Like when you see under 8, it has section 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All these are relating to communication, acceptance, and revocation of proposal. You get an idea by looking into that. Next is definition. Have you seen definitions in a legislation?
Yeah, like 1 or 2.
1 or 2. Usually, okay, not always, usually. Section 2 is what provides for definitions. Okay, like if you see here, say interpretation clause, or it might say definition clause, like that, it will be mentioned and it will define.
It starts with definition only, ma'am.
Sorry, yeah, interpretation is nothing but definition only. Interpretation clause.
It starts, the beginning only, it starts with definition and they'll put a hyphen and then they'll.
Yeah, most of the legislation, it starts like that. Like if we are seeing contract, yes, it starts with section 2 is about definition. For most of the legislation, section 2 only is definition clause. Like it defines what is proposal, what is acceptance, what is promise, what is promiser, who is promisee, like that. A lot of definitions are given. But if you take the example of IPC, there are different sections which define, like section 8 defines gender, 9 defines number, 10 defines men and women, 11 defines person, like different sections. Whatever it is makes the same sense that definitions are there. Definitions are used to define all the important terms. Definition clause of one of the particular act is applied in this particular act. Now, when we are saying that, okay, Indian Penal Code defines gender under section 8, this definition should be used only for the purpose of this legislation. You cannot apply it everywhere. Okay, so these definitions are for the purpose of this specific legislation only. Okay, so in this act, see, it also mentions in this act, as in Indian Contract Act, following words and expressions are used in the following sense unless the contrary requires. This certain definitions you should not be using in other legislations. If you take the example of what is immovable property, it may be defined in a different way in different legislations. Okay, so these definitions you need to refer for the purpose of this certain act only. Then we have illustrations. Sometimes when a legislation explains like a complicated topic or like a complicated situation, illustrations are also given just to ensure that there is no confusion which is created. Okay, so when you read different types of crimes, right, under IPC, you will get illustrations.
Okay.
Okay, I need to look for an illustration. See, illustration. What it says, it is saying extraterritorial jurisdiction. As in, even though this legislation is passed by Indian Parliament, it's not just in India, it's applicable. Sometimes it may apply even outside India. Okay, extraterritorial.
Outside.
But now what is extraterritorial jurisdiction? You may get confused. So they have given illustration also. That if A, who is a citizen of India, he commits a murder in Uganda, he can be tried and convicted for murder in any place in India where he is found. As in, they are explaining what is extraterritorial jurisdiction. So illustrations become very important because otherwise you might find it very illogical that mostly we see it is applicable in India only. Here also they are mentioning that it is applicable in the whole of India. But now how come they are saying it's applicable extraterritorial jurisdiction? Why is it applicable in Uganda? Right? So they are explaining, illustrations helping that way. When they are explaining something like this, they would give illustrations also. Next thing we have is proviso. What is a proviso now?
Provision. Provided that, yeah, that.
So they will first of all explain you a certain concept, okay, that if this happens, this is what is applicable. But proviso provides examples of specific cases. That is, in general, if this happens, this is what is applicable. But there are some exceptional situations also. Okay, these specific examples are given to such cases where general words require special meaning. In general, this is what is applicable, but there are some specific situations also where this certain thing would be applicable. Let me give you another example for this. Provided liability. So sometimes you get, okay, this is difficult to find. All right, fine. Anyways, so they are saying that, okay, fine. Liability of surety is like coextensive provided by the contract. If something else is provided, that would be applicable. Like, you got it, right? A general thing would be mentioned, and they would talk about specific situations. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Then we have explanations. Now, illustrations where like they would give you an example that if someone, citizen of India, committing a murder in Uganda, that was an example. Same ways, they even provide explanations, as in they would say this is the law. But now, is it clear or not? To ensure that they might again provide some explanation. Explanations are also very much common. See, explanation. It is not necessary like that. You would see lot many explanations. Say explanation 1, explanation 2. It might go on and on also. They just want to make sure explanation 1, explanation 2, explanation 3, because IPC is complicated, right? It talks about different crimes, different situations. In this situation, it would be considered as this kind of a crime. So there it becomes very important that explanations, illustrations are properly provided. Okay, so these are again another thing that we get. Next one is schedules. Now, what is schedule? Again, all these different parts that I'm talking about, right? In one single legislation, you may not find every single thing, but these are like most commonly seen things. Okay, like take for example, schedule. You would not find schedule in Indian Contract Act. Okay, some of the legislations are having schedule. So schedule is nothing but like an extra information or additional information provided to you. Okay, take for example, if you see Constitution of India, it provides you all the details in different articles. Then we have different schedules giving you extra information. Okay, like Constitution tells about, okay, what is India? India is a combination of all the different states and union territories which we have. When I tell you that, you understood, right? That, okay, there are different states, different union territories taken together. It is nothing but India. You got it, right?
Yeah.
But now you may feel like, okay, how many states do we have in India? How many union territories do we have in India? What is the boundary, territorial jurisdiction of each of these states or union territories? For that specific detail, you can refer schedule. As in, schedule is nothing but some extra information that you can get. Okay, if I take the example, I say that, okay, you know what, in union judiciary who are there, chief justice is there, plus there are around 38 judges. You may feel like, okay, fine, I can tell you the qualifications that they need, their powers, functions, everything. Now you may feel like, okay, but what is the salary that they get? What is the other privileges that they get? Those extra, or what is the oaths that they take before joining the office? Extra additional information should be given in schedules. Okay.
Okay.
So schedule is also nothing but an important part of the statute where additional information should be given, and you can read these details. Now, next one is punctuation. Punctuation is one of the minor element of the statute. It should be given importance only when there is proper punctuation used and when there is no doubt about its meaning. Punctuation again helps us in understanding meaning, because every single thing matters a lot when we are studying a certain legislation, right? So all this, where is the full stop put, where is this, all the punctuation, it also forms a very important part in understanding the provisions of law in a better way. Okay, so all these are different parts of a statute that helps us in understanding the legislation. So knowledge of different parts of the statute and legislation is vital part for law students, researchers, etc. When we know about the differences between all these different things that are there in a statute, understanding the legislation becomes easy. That's when we know that, okay, if we need detailed information, we can refer to this certain, like schedule or other things. We get an idea on that. Okay, is this part clear?
Yeah, ma'am.
Take, for example, there is this legislation called Specific Relief Act, and it talks about infrastructural project. Now, if I ask you, what do you mean by infrastructural project? What do you think? General.
Infrastructure project.
See, there is no as such common answer, right? If I ask you what is a book, you can explain. But when I say what is infrastructure project, you may start thinking like, what should I tell? Right? So that is
it is like we tell usually the college infrastructure or the school infrastructure. Is it similar to that?
Yes. Now they are making some provisions relating to infrastructural project, but it's very important that you clearly define what is infrastructure project. So they have provided a schedule where they are mentioning that there are 5 categories of infrastructural project, like transport. When you say transport, what all things are included? Road, bridges, ports, airports, landways, all these are included. There is energy. These are the things included. Water and sanitation. These are the things included. Communication. These are the things included. Social and commercial infrastructure, like you said, educational institutions, right? These are nothing but a need of the society. So these also will be included. Plus, they have also mentioned that this list is not like exhaustive. If tomorrow you feel like so and so thing also consists part of infrastructure, you can add that here. Okay, so that's how additional information is provided in schedule, so that we are clear on what they want to specify. Okay, so these are what different parts of statute are all about.